They say the smallest lies are the ones that live the longest. And I used to believe that lying was harmless, especially if it kept the peace. But one lie I told, just one, has haunted me every single day since. It wasn't a lie to a stranger or to someone who would forget in a week. It was to the one person I thought I could never lose, my best friend.
The worst part? It wasn't even a clever lie. It was clumsy, desperate, born in a moment of fear. But that single choice changed the way I saw myself, and it forever changed the way I looked at friendship.
Her name, well, for this story, I'll call her Maya. We met in high school, though not in one of those destined best friend kind of ways. It was more accidental. I was late for class, she was even later, and we both got locked out of the room. We sat in the hallway together, annoyed, embarrassed, and laughing at our own bad luck. That shared humiliation, as strange as it sounds, was the spark. From then on, we were inseparable. If you saw me, you saw Maya. If you heard one of us laugh across the cafeteria, you knew the other was nearby. Maya was the kind of friend who made ordinary moments unforgettable. She had this stubborn optimism, this way of making disasters feel like adventures. Failed exams turned into late-night snack runs. Breakups turned into karaoke nights. Even family drama felt lighter with her sitting on my bedroom floor, tossing jokes around like confetti. I trusted her with things I wouldn't have admitted to anyone else. My fears, my insecurities, my secrets. And I honestly believed that trust was unshakable. But here's the thing about lies. They don't just appear out of nowhere. They creep in slowly, usually when fear is stronger than honesty. We were in our second year of college when the situation that led to my lie began to take shape. It was exam season, the kind of season where everyone's nerves are stretched thin, sleep is optional, and even the tiniest problems feel magnified. Maya was under more pressure than anyone I knew. Her parents had sacrificed a lot for her education, and she carried that weight on her shoulders every day. She studied harder than all of us combined, but she also had this need to be perfect. Like, if she wasn't flawless, she was letting everyone down. And I, on the other hand, I was struggling, quietly. While Maya was pulling all-nighters with color-coded notes and detailed schedules, I was drowning. Not just in coursework, but in life. Money was tight, my part-time job was eating hours I didn't have, and emotionally, I was exhausted. I never told Maya how bad it was, because she was already carrying so much. I thought I was protecting her from my problems, but really, I was building the first cracks in our friendship. One evening, about a week before our finals, Maya suggested we study together at the library. Normally, this would have been fine, but I hadn't prepared at all. I didn't even have the right textbooks. We sat down, and almost immediately, she could see I was lost. "Hey," she whispered, nudging my notes. "You okay? You're not usually this behind." And that's when it started. Instead of admitting the truth that I had barely studied, that I was overwhelmed, that I was failing, I smiled and said, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just studied differently this time." It was a small lie. Harmless, right? Just a way to save face. But then she pressed. She wanted to compare notes, to quiz each other, and my panic grew. Each time she asked a question, I found another little lie to cover up the first one. I pretended I remembered formulas. I pretended I had read chapters I hadn't even opened. I even nodded along when she explained something I didn't understand. The deeper I went, the more trapped I felt. And with every fake nod, every forced smile, I was digging myself into a hole I couldn't climb out of. Looking back now, I realized the lie wasn't about exams at all. It was about fear. Fear of disappointing her. Fear of shattering the image she had of me. Fear that if she saw how weak and unprepared I was, she'd see me differently. But lies don't erase weakness. They just bury it. And buried things don't disappear. They fester. At the time, though, I convinced myself it didn't matter. I told myself it was a one-time thing, that I'd catch up on my own, pass the exam, and the truth would never need to come out. But deep down, a knot of guilt started to form, and with each passing day, it grew tighter. That night was the first time I lied to Maya, and I told myself it would also be the last. But I couldn't have been more wrong, because once you start lying to someone you love, it doesn't stop at one. It snowballs, and the avalanche it creates can destroy everything in its path.
I wish I could tell you that the lie ended there. That one small moment of pretending was all it took to keep my secret hidden. But lies have a way of demanding attention. They whisper, they echo, they grow louder every time you try to silence them. And within a few days, my one small lie had already grown legs. Maya insisted we keep studying together. She thought she was helping me sharpen what I had already learned. What she didn't realize was that I was drowning in panic every time we sat down. "Let's quiz each other again," she said one night, smiling as she shuffled flashcards. I nodded, but my stomach sank. I could answer maybe 2 out of 10, and even those felt shaky. So when she asked, I did the only thing my fear-driven brain could think of. I guessed. I lied. I nodded like I understood when I didn't. She didn't catch on, at least not right away. But in those moments, I started to notice something in her eyes, a flicker of doubt, a pause before she moved to the next question. She was too kind to call me out, but I could feel her wondering. And instead of coming clean, I doubled down. The night before our biggest exam, we stayed up late at the library. The place was quiet, almost eerily so, with only the sound of pencils scratching paper and pages turning. Maya looked exhausted, but determined. "We've got this," she whispered, more to herself than to me. But I didn't have this. I knew it. My chest tightened with every passing hour. I wasn't ready, not even close. At one point, she looked at me and said, "You're really calm. I admire that. I'm freaking out inside." And there it was, the dagger of guilt twisting deeper. She thought I was calm because I was prepared, but I was calm because I had given up. Still, I smiled. Still, I lied. The next day, the exam paper sat in front of me like a cruel joke. I stared at questions I couldn't answer, formulas I didn't recognize, paragraphs I couldn't decode. Maya, sitting 2 rows ahead of me, was scribbling furiously. I watched her out of the corner of my eye, envying her certainty. She believed in me, and I was failing her in real time. When the test ended, I felt hollow. My hands shook as I handed in the paper. I wanted to disappear. Outside, Maya asked how it went, and instead of finally telling the truth, I gave the same smile I had been rehearsing all week and said, "It wasn't too bad. I think I did okay." The words came out too smoothly, too easily, a rehearsed performance. And Maya, bless her, believed me. Or maybe she wanted to believe me. She grinned and said, "I knew you'd be fine." That sentence, the faith in her voice, was almost unbearable. A week later, the results came out. Maya scored brilliantly, as always. She texted me, "Check your grades. I bet you did amazing." I didn't. I couldn't. When I finally opened the portal, my grade glared at me like a scarlet letter. I had failed. Not just done badly, failed. That evening, Maya called. I didn't pick up. She called again and again. Finally, I answered. "So, how did you do?" she asked, her voice bubbling with excitement. And here's the moment I will never forget, because I had the chance, right there, to tell her the truth, to admit everything, to let the weight fall off my shoulders. But fear won again. I passed, I said softly. Not as well as you, but I passed. Another lie, a bigger one this time. Once you build one lie on top of another, you don't just carry the truth, you carry the architecture of deceit. Every conversation, every interaction became a minefield. Maya celebrated me. She congratulated me. She even told her parents about how we both did so well. Her pride in me, it felt like poison. Every smile she gave me, every word of encouragement reminded me of the wall I had built between us. And the wall only grew higher. Weeks later, she noticed the cracks. "Why don't you ever want to study together anymore?" she asked one afternoon. I fumbled for excuses. Too tired, too busy, too distracted. The truth was, I couldn't face her. I couldn't sit across from her knowing I was lying every second. She tilted her head, studying me the way only a best friend could. "You've been different lately. Is everything okay?"
The lie that started as a shield became a prison, and the more I tried to protect myself, the more I damaged the one friendship that mattered most. What I didn't realize then was that the truth always has a way of coming out. And when it finally did, it shattered everything.
Lies are fragile things. You think they're strong enough to protect you, but really they're like glass. Thin, delicate, and one wrong move shatters everything. For weeks, I balanced my lie like a plate spinning on a stick, hoping no one would notice. But plates don't spin forever. And mine came crashing down one ordinary afternoon. It was about 3 weeks after the exam results came in. Maya and I were hanging out at her apartment, sprawled on the floor with leftover pizza boxes around us. It felt almost normal, like the old days. Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, smiled, and said, "Oh, it's my mom. She's asking about your grades again. She's so proud of you, you know?" My stomach dropped. Her mom? I laughed nervously. Why would she be proud of me? Maya shrugged, chewing her crust. "Because I told her you passed too. She said it's amazing how we both did so well under pressure." And there it was, the walls of my lie closing in. Not only had I lied to Maya, but now she had unknowingly carried that lie into her own family. I forced a smile. That's really nice. But inside, panic thundered in my chest. A few days later, the slip came. I was at work, exhausted, distracted, miserable, when Maya showed up with 2 coffees in her hands. She dropped one on my desk and said, "Thought you could use this. You've been buried in work lately." We chatted for a bit, and then, out of nowhere, she said, "By the way, I was thinking of applying for that scholarship next semester. They ask for grade reports. Wanna apply with me?" My heart froze. That scholarship required proof. Proof of the very exam I had failed. I stammered, "I don't think I'll have time. You should go for it, though." Her brow furrowed. "But you'd be perfect for it. Your grades are good enough. Why wouldn't you at least try?" I laughed nervously, waving her off. "Just not interested." She didn't push further, but I saw it in her eyes. Suspicion. And once suspicion enters a friendship, it doesn't leave quietly. The truth came out not because I confessed, but because Maya was too smart for me. One evening, we were walking home together when she said casually, "Hey, can you show me how you solved that question from our exam, the one about the formula?" It was a trap. I didn't realize it until I opened my mouth, and nothing came out. I froze, completely blank. Maya's face changed instantly.
Her playful grin vanished, replaced with something harder. You don't know it, do you? I tried to laugh it off. It's been weeks. I just forgot. Her eyes narrowed. Forgot or never knew? Silence stretched between us. Heavy. Crushing. And in that silence, the truth spilled out without me saying a word. We sat on a park bench nearby, the night air cold against my skin. Maya crossed her arms, staring at the ground. She asked softly, "Why would you lie to me?" I scrambled for words. "I didn't want you to think less of me. You've always been so perfect, Maya, and I was drowning. I thought if I admitted how much I was failing, you'd see me differently." She looked up, eyes glistening. "Differently? You're my best friend. You think I care if you fail a test?" The weight of her disappointment was unbearable. I didn't want to disappoint you," I whispered. She shook her head. "You didn't disappoint me by failing. You disappointed me by lying. Do you know how stupid I felt telling my family about your grades, defending you when I thought people underestimated you? And all this time, it was fake?" Her words cut deeper than any grade ever could. We walked home in silence. No jokes, no laughter, just the sound of our footsteps echoing down the empty street. That night, she didn't text me like she always did. And the next day, she didn't sit next to me in class. The distance between us grew fast, like a crack in glass, spreading wider with every second. I wanted to fix it. I wanted to run to her, to beg for forgiveness. But shame kept me still. Guilt chained me down. And Maya, she didn't chase me either. That was the moment I realized how fragile trust is. It takes years to build and only seconds to break. And when it breaks, it doesn't just shatter. It cuts. For weeks after, I replayed the scene in my head. Her eyes when she realized the truth. The hurt in her voice. The silence that followed. It wasn't just about a failed exam anymore. It was about betrayal. About choosing fear over honesty. About proving myself unworthy of the one person who believed in me most. And I would carry that image with me for years. That was the breaking point. The night my lie was exposed. And though I hoped it would be the end of the guilt, the truth is, it was only the beginning of something worse. Because once the truth was out, I had to live with what it cost me. The hardest part about losing a friendship isn't the silence. It's the way silence echoes. The way it lingers in your routine, in your habits, in every small moment that used to belong to us. After that night, after the truth finally came out, Maya didn't cut me off immediately. No, she did something far worse. She drifted. In class, she sat 2 rows away instead of beside me. When we walked out of lectures, she joined other friends instead of waiting for me at the door. Our texts became shorter, drier, until eventually they stopped altogether. It wasn't dramatic. There was no screaming fight, no final "we're done," just a slow unraveling. And somehow, that made it hurt even more. Every day, I hoped she'd come back. Every day, I thought, maybe if I apologize again, maybe if I explain better, she'll forgive me. But I had already said sorry. I had said it a dozen times. And each time, her response was the same quiet shake of her head. "You don't get it," she said once. "It's not just the lie. It's that you thought lying was easier than trusting me with the truth." And what could I say to that? She was right. Losing Maya didn't just mean losing a best friend. It meant losing my anchor. She was the one who pushed me to keep going when I wanted to quit. The one who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Without her, everything felt heavier. My grades slipped even more.
I stopped going to study groups. I avoided social events because I didn't want to see her laughing with people who weren't me. The guilt consumed me. It followed me everywhere, into my classes, into my work shifts, into my sleepless nights. And the more I avoided her, the more I realized just how much space she had filled in my life. Without her, it all felt empty. One afternoon, months later, I saw her across campus. She was sitting under a tree with a group of friends, laughing the way she used to laugh with me. I froze. I wanted to walk over to remind her that I was still here. But as I watched, I noticed something. She looked happy, genuinely happy. And for the first time, I understood. I wasn't part of that happiness anymore. That was the moment I knew. Our friendship wasn't on pause. It wasn't waiting to be fixed. It was gone. Years have passed since then. I've graduated, moved to a new city, started a new chapter of life. But the memory of that lie, it follows me. It's in the way I hesitate before answering a simple question. It's in the way I overthink whether to tell someone the truth about how I'm feeling. It's in the way I sometimes catch myself thinking, if I say this, will they still like me? Will they still trust me? That one lie, told out of fear, taught me the cost of dishonesty. And it's a cost I'm still paying. Here's what nobody tells you about lies. They don't protect you, they bury you. They bury your relationships, your peace of mind, your sense of self. I thought I was protecting Maya by pretending I was fine. In reality, I was protecting my ego, my pride. And in doing so, I lost the one person who mattered most to me. If I could go back, I would tell her the truth the very first night we studied together. I would have said, I'm scared. I don't understand this. I need help. And knowing her, she would have helped me. She would have carried me through it the way she always had. But I didn't give her that chance. And I will never know what might have been if I had trusted her. Sometimes, late at night, I dream about her. I dream about the way she used to laugh so hard she snorted, about the nights we stayed up until sunrise talking about the future. And then I wake up, and the silence reminds me that those moments are gone. That's what haunts me the most, not just the lie itself, but everything it stole from me, the friendship, the trust, the possibility of growing older together as best friends. One lie, one stupid, unnecessary lie, and it changed everything.
So, if you take anything from my story, let it be this. Tell the truth, even when it scares you, even when it makes you vulnerable, because the cost of hiding the truth will always be greater than the cost of facing it. Trust me, I know.
And that's it. That's my story. A single lie that started small but grew until it destroyed the most important friendship I ever had. Even now, years later, I think about it almost every single day. I think about how easily it could have been avoided, how different my life would look if I had just been honest. It's strange, isn't it? We think we're protecting ourselves by hiding the truth, but the truth always comes out. And by the time it does, the damage is far worse than if we had faced it from the start. If there's one lesson I've carried from this experience, it's this. Honesty isn't just about telling the truth. It's about trusting the people who love you enough to handle it. Maya would have understood. She always did. But I didn't trust her with my weakness. I thought lying would make me look stronger. And in the end, it only showed how weak I really was. So if you're listening to this and you're carrying a lie, even a small one, ask yourself, is it worth it?
Is the comfort of hiding the truth worth the cost of losing someone you care about? Because I can tell you from experience, it isn't. I don't know where Maya is now. Maybe she's still in the city. Maybe she's moved on. Maybe she barely remembers me at all. But I remember her. I remember what I lost, and I remember that I lost it because of a choice I made. And that's why it haunts me. Not because she left, but because I pushed her away. Maybe you've been in my shoes. Maybe you've told a lie to someone you love and it's eating away at you. Or maybe you're on the other side. You've been lied to and you're carrying that wound. Either way, I want to say this. You're not alone. We all make mistakes. We all act out of fear sometimes. And while my story doesn't have a happy ending, yours still can. You can still choose honesty. You can still rebuild. You can still decide that fear doesn't get the final word. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you of something you've gone through or something you're going through now, I'd like to hear it. This channel is called The Anonymous Journal for a reason. These stories aren't just mine. They belong to all of us. So share your story in the comments below. Or if you're not ready for that, just sit with this one for a while. Maybe it will give you the push to finally tell the truth you've been hiding.